be discussing erotic confidence. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about because it looks like, some people are just erotically confident and some people aren't. And if you have it, you have it. And if you don't, you don't. And it's just not true, right? Because so many of us are in the world in non normcore, non-centralized experiences, right? And why wouldn't we all get to be erotically confident? We do. So it's a pleasure to be with you today. And my company, Wasilium, is a trans-led, queer-led online learning community, and we're teaching adults who are longing for healthy connection, really the skills necessary to sustain happy relationships that are long-term and loving and kind. So the first Thursday of every month, we offer a free teaching on a relevant topic about sex and relationships. And so today's topic is erotic confidence. And today I'll be talking about flirting. I'll be talking about body love, how you can easily take it to the next level, how you can talk about what you want, and there'll be plenty of time at the end for live Q&A. If you would, when you have a question, just type it into the Q&A box, and we'll be together for about an hour. Go ahead and turn off your other devices. Go ahead and close those other browser windows. This is really a time that you can give to yourself as a gift of presence, of attention, and of really coming to the skills that you need for erotic confidence. So, we've been in isolation for a year, and I don't know about you, but I notice as I'm starting to have little gatherings with friends, just that my social skills are a little bit rusty. And for sure that everybody's game skills are a little bit rusty. Our flirting skills, our seduction skills, our way to be with others is going to need some warm up, some lubrication to get us back in our flow, to get us back in our sexy flow. So if you are feeling that way, if you're feeling like, oh my God, other people, you're not alone, first of all. And that's what we're going to cover today, is to help you get some of what you need. So let's start by talking about what erotic confidence even is. And this is my definition, that erotic confidence is a felt sense of certainty within your personal sexuality, that you have access to feeling certain, that you know that it's okay to want what you want, it's okay to like what you like, and you have the skill set to express it, either with yourself or with others. While maybe we think about erotic confidence as having a little bit of swagger in your step, right? Making meaningful eye contact, or being able to wink and give a little coy smile. I mean, that can be part of it. But it's important to know that erotic confidence is not just performative. It's sourced from being deeply connected with yourself. It's sourced from knowing yourself, how to give yourself permission, a general sense of, I'm okay, right? And when I think about what it feels like to be erotically confident, it's those times where you feel really good about your body. You feel in touch with desire. You feel like you can share your erotic energy, exchange it with the world. That space exists for the entirety of you, that you are in touch with the flow of the erotic, and it feels powerful. Another word for erotic confidence might be personal power, right? You feel good, you feel sexy. And just to say that this is a state that comes and goes for most of us, right? It's not that anybody is erotically confident all the time. It's that you can practice it, and that when you do practice it, when you are practicing it, this is maybe what it feels like for you. It's helpful. It's helpful to practice erotic confidence because the thing about not being erotically confident is that there's often shame present, right? We don't like the way we look. We don't feel confident in making a move. And that shame um, is preventative. It's preventing you from really being in your full erotic self, right? And so when you're practicing erotic confidence, you're actually getting rid of some of the shame, because those two things, they cannot exist at the same time, right? So another way to think about erotic confidence might be the absence of sexual shame, right? It means that you can approach the people that you're attracted to. You feel good about initiating sexy times. You feel resilient when you hear no. Even the most erotically confident person is going to hear no, right? Um, you feel like you know what to do during sexy times, like you know how to be present. And that capacity for presence during intimate moments means you're not all up in your head. You're not thinking, oh my gosh, what should I do next? Right? You're with what is. You're with the person who is in front of you. Or that if that person is yourself, you're with yourself and you're not in your head thinking about, what should I do? So I hope it's clear that how I hold erotic confidence is that it is a practice, and it's something that you get to choose to practice when you want. It's something that you gain more of the more you practice it. And if you are living in the world in a body that is not centered as by capitalism and marketing as attractive or beautiful or whatever it is, the your practice has to be more robust, right? And that's okay. You get to do that. You get to make that choice. So if you want more erotic confidence, there's no magic button to push. You just get to practice being more confident. So um, this is probably good news for all of us who are coming out of quarantine, being like, whoa, what now? What do I do now? So let's talk a little bit about a little bit more about shame and a little bit about body confidence. So because body confidence is a huge piece of this, and I believe that you can have body confidence no matter what your body looks like, no matter how old it is, no matter what color it is, no matter what number shows up on the scale for you. That feeling good about being in a body is something that all of us have access to. I'm not saying that it's the easiest thing, right? But I am saying it's something that we can practice. And, just as a fat person in the world, like I've had to practice this a lot to feel good about my body, because the messaging most of us get is so negative, right? It's so body not positive. And so I think of practicing body confidence, it's a fairly revolutionary act, right? And this feeling of groundedness in your own worth, in your own attractiveness. It's really a big piece of feeling confident, and it translates out. So, obviously, most people struggle with feeling sexy. Many people that I know do, at least. And shame, as I've already named, is the thing that's the biggest prohibitive factor in body confidence. And the thing about shame is that it's invisible often. Like you're not really aware of the impact that shame is having on your sexuality. It's like an invisible fence. And so body shame is one of these ways that shame prohibits confidence, erotic confidence. Shame can show up in your body, how you feel about it, how you think about it. It can also show up in what you like, in your fantasies, in your desires, right? It can show up in how you feel about bodies in general, not just your own. If there are parts or experiences that are that you feel like are gross you feel disgust. So if you feel disgust, this is actually great because it points a spotlight at, oh, their shame is present, right? And because we live in the sex negative culture that we live in, it's really my take that most of us have some degree of sexual trauma. Body shame is part of that. And when trauma is present, you know that shame is going to be there too, right? So being able to start to locate, to investigate, oh, where do I feel shut down because of the impact of shame? Um, yeah, it just really it starts to be very important to uh, refuse to participate with your own internalized shame, right? So you very kindly and nicely start to identify it. Oh, there's shame in action again, right? I just had a negative self thought and told myself I wasn't sexy, and you can start to name it, right? You can start to name it to yourself. You can start to name it to others, because that is the antithesis of internalized shame, is just normalizing talking about it, right? And if you want to feel good about your body and you want to feel sexy, this is an important piece, is addressing internalized shame. And it's work that we all get to do, right? I think about it sometimes like this: who benefits if I am shut down in shame, right? Like, we often spend so much of our lifetime and our life energy swirling around this whole shame thing, right? And not wanting to talk about it and being ashamed of our shame, right? All that. Where is the benefit? Who is benefiting from this? And how can my refusal to shame myself anymore, how can that be a personal revolution that benefits the liberation of all bodies, right? So I want to pivot and talk a little bit about feeling sexy. So what is this? When someone says, oh, I feel so sexy, what is that? What are they actually talking about? Well, obviously they are talking about a degree of embodiment, right? They're feeling something that feels pleasant, good, neutral inside of themselves, right? It might mean that they are feeling desirous, libidinous. They might have some, they might be horny or randy. Um, Feeling sexy can also be an embodied sense of, I've got me. Like, I like how I look. I like how my clothes feel. I'm carrying myself well on my frame. I'm not all, collapsed. I'm feeling proud of who I am. And this, of course, is a medicine, right? It's a medicine um, of real healing, to start to practice that. What's it like to carry myself on my frame, to let my skeleton that is designed to hold the weight of my body, hold the actual weight of my body, relax the rest of me, and feel present in that. And so I'm going to invite you right now to just like take a moment with that information. All right, what's it like? How can I wiggle around and find that embodied sense of, oh, here I am located inside my body. Right? Here I am figuring out how my frame can bear the weight of me as it's supposed to, as it's designed to. Here I am practicing feeling like, oh, it's okay right now to have a body. The worrying, the constant worrying about how do we look, how are we perceived, it just has so much impact, it has so much consequence, right? And we're barraged by it all the time, and you go anywhere and you see advertisements, or you watch anything and you see people who are it's a very small window of what's acceptable. I think it's changing a little bit now, but those images, they get in us, right? Of like, oh, I'm supposed to look like that, and then we start to collapse around it. And so feeling sexy is not just for people who fit into some tiny range of beauty norm. You can practice this part. right? And so let's just imagine just for a moment that we did have that magic button that we could push, right? And so just do that. Like, okay, here I am on my frame and I feel good. And no matter how much of this you can access or not, is not the point. You don't have to feel any kind of way right now. It's just you're making space for sexy. Yeah. A piece about this is also it's not just how you're holding your body or how you're moving your body, it's how you are with yourself inside your own head, right? How are you communicating with yourself? What kinds of things are you saying to yourself about your body, about your sexy, right? Um, if you start to pay attention to how much criticism versus how much praise, how many critiques versus how many compliments are you giving yourself? That's a pretty interesting ratio to pay attention to, right? And is it possible to move that needle more towards complimentary, towards flattery, and away from criticism and critique? Because that is huge. How we are inside of our experience, how we're talking to ourselves about ourselves really has impact on our erotic confidence. You see that, right? And so is there a way to develop that metacognition, to really think about or start to develop that part that can notice, oh, I just said a mean thing to myself. Okay, I'm going to say 3 nice things to myself now, right? Because if you are, you're doing all this work, like I'm going to rock my sexy, but you're still being mean to yourself inside, it's just not going to stick. And so you have to also look at those inside voices of how are you talking to yourself? Are you being as kind to yourself on the inside? And this isn't some like compassion bypass, it's just real, right? Like if you were telling your best friend how terrible they looked, how unattractive they were, how they needed to change this or that or this or that, like that friendship's not going to last very long, right? So it's the same with you. And I know you know this, I know you've heard it 10,000 times, but um, for me, it was a turning point in when I kind of like, yeah, I should be nicer to myself. I should have more self-compassion. And then when the actual practice of it really shifted my ability to connect with feeling sexy. So I want to give you a cute little practice that I learned from my partner, Ari. Um, and so here's the practice. So when you look in the mirror, instead of seeing all the things that you don't like and that you wish were different, try this. Try winking at yourself and saying out loud, hey, sexy. So it's just like, hey, sexy, hey, sexy, right? Um, when I first started doing this practice, there was so much pushback from my internal peanut gallery, right? They'd be like, oh, yeah, right, but with practice over time, those voices started to recede and I actually started to be able to feel sexy for longer, right? So I practiced that skill with the how am I walking around in my frame skill and put those two things together, right? Because it's really hard to flirt when you're not feeling confident in yourself, right? It's really hard to extend that invitation to someone else if you're not feeling grounded and present and good about who you are, right? So let's talk a little bit about flirting because I think it's spring in the northern hemisphere and lots of people are getting vaccinated and we're going to start seeing each other and we need to know how to do this. So how I hold flirting is that it's play, right? It's a very low cost of admission way to invite someone into the part of them that feels connected with their sexy. And the thing about flirting is like you can flirt with anybody. You can flirt with trees. You can flirt with your grandma. You can flirt with babies and puppies and your house plant. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just that like, hey, let's play energy. Like, whew, let's play, And it doesn't have to be a big, serious, no, I'm a flirt, right? It's just Are you feeling it? Want to feel it? Huh? 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 Right? It's that playful, invitational energy. And if somebody doesn't flirt with you back, uh, they might not have picked up on it, right? We just talked about everybody's social cues being pretty rusty at this point. Um, they might not be interested. They might be completely paying attention to something else right now, right? So it's like, don't take it too seriously. If like I often will lightly flirt with um, like people who are in boring jobs, like at the post office, right? I'll be like, oh, how's your day going? And it's not an invitation into let's go have sex right now. It's just like, oh, hey, can I invite you into this like lighter sense of way of being for just a moment, right? And so if they're like, it's fine, next, it's not. I'm not gonna take it personally, right? And this is flirting is a great way to practice feeling erotically confident. Um, Obviously, there is a not so fine line between the lighthearted flirting that I'm talking about and paying unwanted sexual attention to someone. Okay. So if that line feels at all gray to you, err on the side of caution, right? And if you need to understand more about that line and about reading people's body language, there's definitely resources out there. I've taught about it. It's on our YouTube channel. And there's other teachers who help if you don't understand what this line is. But flirting is it's very low cost of admission. It's very lighthearted. It's invitational. It indicates some degree of interest, sexual or not. Um, and really, the best techniques are very simple, right? You've just you feel that little rise of excitement in you. Um, you feel connected to yourself. And so just some simple things you can do. And I would encourage you to practice these. Um, if you take away anything from this teaching today, take away this. Here are some things you can do. So smile at someone. Just smile and maintain eye contact. And for just a moment longer than you would with like your boss, for example, or your teacher, or someone that you're clearly not flirting with. And this smiling is a great technique because you don't have to know what to say. All you have to do is make eye contact and make your mouth go in a certain direction, right? And often just those muscles being activated lifts that energy. And we are trained uh, to smile back at people who smile at us, right? Like it's just part of being human. And so that there's that easy reciprocation. And so that's just a great simple thing to do. And yeah, so if you are out in the world today, just try smiling at someone and making eye contact. Yeah, super simple. You could also just say hi to someone on the street. Hi, how you doing? My favorite example of being flirted with, I was walking across the street on Haight Street, and this person just was, coming towards me in the crosswalk, and they looked at me and they were like, "That's what I'm talking about," and they just kept walking. Right? It made my day. It made my year. Right? And it was so simple, and it didn't feel intrusive. It didn't feel unwanted, and it didn't feel, what's the word? Obligatory. I didn't feel like I had to do anything with it. And so they obviously gauged that, in some amazing social skill set that they had, they were able to read that would be welcome. Maybe I made eye contact with them first, right? Um, so just saying hi, it can be really flirtatious. Um, if you're gonna talk with somebody, let's say you go to a backyard bonfire this weekend, and there's some cute person there, and you're like, oh, you're kind of cute. You can just say hi and give them a compliment that gets them talking. Ask an open-ended question. I feel like this is all such practical, um, common sense stuff, and yet we forget and we trip over ourselves, right? So, oh, hey, that's a great hat you're wearing. Where'd you get it? Tell me the story of that hat. Or, it can just be something really, really simple to initiate that connection, keeping it really light. And your body language, remember when we could see more than each other's heads? Your body language communicates a lot about your intentions, right? So if you want to be flirtatious and safe, open, relaxed arms and turn your body just like a little bit away. Hey, how you doing? Good to meet you, you know, is less intense than, oh, hey, how are you doing? So your subtle movements can convey safety and interest. And if the person that you're speaking with says anything even remotely funny, laugh, right? Or see if you can get them to laugh, because that laughing together is such a intimate and easy way for connection to happen. So those are some very, very basic techniques for flirting. So flirting has gone well, and maybe you've even gotten somebody's number or social media, and you're connecting with them. And so what do you do next? How do you take it to the next level? How do you and I don't know what kind of people you're surrounded by. I'm surrounded by a lot of queers, and it's often really hard for somebody to make the first move, right? Because of the fear of rejection. And so you end up with a lot of really cute, really shy engagements where it's clear that there's something, but like nobody's willing to like be like, okay, cool, there's something. I'm gonna take it here, right? So how do you move things forward? If they have been responding well to the flirting and to your overtures, um, you could start with just a little bit of a text, right? Like a little bit, something that's a little bit risque. Like obviously it's not like, what are you wearing right now? It's like something light, like, ooh, does the spring give you that tingly feeling, right? And if they don't pick up on it, if they don't respond, they might not be interested, So obviously read that cue. If you are in person with someone, what you can do is just, move a couple of inches closer to them. And this is going to be weird. Like, I don't actually know how this is going to work, because my sense is, because of the whole social distance thing, our boundaries have uh, expanded. Our personal space boundaries have expanded. And so I don't really, like, this was kind of like my pre-COVID spiel on this stuff. It's like, we'll move a little closer, see how they do. You could try it, and to know that there is going to be impact here from not being able to touch, not being able to be free in our body language, like the way that we were pre-COVID, right? So test it out. Get back to me. Because my sense is also that there's been some, like, I don't know, maybe you've noticed it, like if someone stands too close to you right now in the grocery store, you kind of move away, right? And as that shifts, we'll just have to track it and see. But I think the thing is that about moving things forward is you have to really gauge someone's interest. Like, are they interested in you? And you can try a few things. You can track their body language. Like, are they open and available when they engage with you? Are they sending you little flirty things back? Are they touching their hair or their face a lot when they talk to you, right? Pretty classic sign if they're like, or if by chance they touch you in that area, head, face, shoulders, pretty classic sign that somebody's interested. So if you're somebody who really likes to flirt, um, and you want to flirt with a special someone, remember to tone down the rest of the flirting when you're with that person, right? So that they get it that, oh, right, they flirt really hard with me, and then when they're around other people, there's a difference, yeah. Because really bringing your full attention to someone is the best way to convey interest. So the foundations, I think, of erotic confidence are this: feeling grounded in your body, talking nicely about your body, knowing how to flirt and convey interest, um, having some skill around consent, actually, I think for me has been a huge confidence booster. Um, I think that it has shifted, but there has been a lot of you're programmed to just like you're supposed to magically know what someone's boundaries are. You're supposed to just magically know what someone wants, right? What to do. And I think the beautiful thing about slowing down in consent practices is that you don't have to know. You get to be humble, right? You don't have to know what they're thinking or what they're feeling. You can test the waters by making the first move, right? Inviting them into a conversation like, oh, hey, I noticed that I'm feeling some feelings of attraction. Just wanted to check in about that, low key, right? Um, the verbal negotiation skill, having that in your toolkit, feeling confident, feeling comfortable talking about sex stuff is a huge confidence booster because like there's so much taboo around talking about sexuality. Like you think that there's not, but there actually is. And and so being able to openly and from a grounded place inside yourself where you're not kind of like skittering out the edges of the conversation to speak what you want, to ask what someone else wants, to negotiate about what might happen between the two of you is so beautiful. And it's so, yeah, I mean, I think that anytime because confidence is not, I think this is a mistaken, um, it's mistakenly conflated with confidence. You do not have to know. You do not have to be an expert. And in fact, think about like the sleazy image of the guy in his like chains in the 70s, like he's a total player, right? He's like, hey baby, hey, like that overblown, I know what you want. I've got my magic, whatever, I can make you do la la la, right? That is not confidence. That's something else. It's like ego or bypass or I don't know, it's bullshit, in my opinion. You don't have to be like that. It's going to give you more confidence to not know, right? To be able to be in dialogue about what someone wants and what you want, right? That's a very tender, beautiful place to be able to be. So, talking about it is another skill, right? Talking about sex, talking about what you want, knowing what you want, being able to ask for it, being able to receive it. These are probably the most difficult parts of erotic confidence for people. Um, communicating desire is really about saying what you want and also saying what you don't want, right? Um, and the invitation here is for you to be in curiosity with yourself, that you don't have to know what you want. Like it's not monolithic, like it's going to change from moment to moment, right? And so to be in curiosity of like, oh, what's the desire that's emerging in me right now? Can you be surprised by yourself? Can you be surprised by your desires, right? And you don't have to have any patented moves. We just talked about this a little bit. You don't have to like, I'm good at kissing, or I can give a great blowjob. Like that takes away from what you can create when you're really present with someone, right? If you're locked into your moves, and we get into that headspace of like, oh, these are the things that I like. What do you like? Or these are the things that I'm good at doing. What are you good at doing? When we feel a lack of confidence of being able to be present in the moment and navigate, which means that to be able to be in that moment means really having to slow down, right? And slowing down can be really scary. It can be really vulnerable. So the skills of listening, um, being able to listen, being coachable if somebody gives you feedback, right? So that you can give the person who's in front of you um, whatever they want in the way that they want it, right? And it's not, um, there's something really uh, safe about being coachable, right? Of like, well, give me feedback. Like, do you want more pressure or less pressure? Do you want to go slower? Do you want to go faster? Right? That you're not responsible. Like you're just getting to be humble and in the not knowing and the curiosity, right? Um, and talking about what you want and what a partner might want uh, are definitely places that the shame can super kick up, right? We're not used to using those words. We're not used to talking about it. So you can practice this here also. When so I talk to people all day long about sex. It's what I do. It's my job, right? And I still sometimes fumble with words that I don't say a lot, like penetrative sex or masturbation, or there's just things that aren't in my common vernacular, and then when I have to say them, like like there's a contraction that can happen, right? When we're saying sex words, body part words out loud, we're breaking a taboo. And so you can practice saying these words on your own. You can just be in the shower and be like, pussy, cock, penis, vagina, vulva, clitoris, I want to put my cock in your ass. Like you can just practice saying those words so that it's just, every time you break that taboo, it gets easier to break that taboo, right? The other piece about talking about what you want is often your throat might constrict, right? Or your breathing might get real shallow. So slow down, sit back, have a full belly breath so that when you say the thing, it has enough air to get out into the world. Yeah. Um, so in kind of the overarching theme here is that erotic confidence is available to people of all sizes, shapes, ages, races, abilities, religion, all the everything. If you're willing to practice it, to practice getting good, um, being inside yourself, being embodied, right? If you're willing to confront shame, if you're willing to get good with your flirting skills, get good with your communication skills, are really the core pieces of erotic confidence. Um, and I really envision a world where we are all in that space. We're all really claiming the fullness of our power when we stop with the negative self-talk and we start with the like, I'm so sexy and I know it, and you're so sexy and you know it, and we're going to be really consensual. So that's what I want to say about erotic confidence. We are creating a course about it that's launching in the next month or two. And so that there'll be some support for you to go deeper into these skills, to practice them with each other, to get coaching on them, and to just really, because it's like, I don't know, we just didn't get taught this stuff. Nobody, at least I didn't get taught how to be confident and have like that it's not performative, right? So keep an eye out for that. A couple more announcements, and then we're going to move into Q&A. So stick around. Uh, our next free teaching will be about relationships. And so this is when you're in a relationship and you change, or your partner changes, or life changes, and you have to really renegotiate the relationship, whatever that is, a marriage or a partnership or a dating relationship. Like it can happen in all stages of relationship, and it will happen again and again and again. And so this is just one of those things that we can get skillful at. Is like, okay, how do we continually be in a process of updating and getting current with where we each are, what we both want, what we want the container to be like. So that's going to be the free teaching next month. It's on relationships. You'll get If you have signed up on our website, you will get notifications about that in emails. You can always go to wilcelium.org and sign up there. So yeah, I hope you'll join for that. It'll be fun and informative. I have a request to make of you, which is it's really important to us to be able to provide accessible information on sex, intimacy, and relationships. The monthly teaching series is obviously free for you to attend. It's our way of giving to community. It's not free for us to make them. A lot goes into each of the webinars that's on the back end. And so my ask is that if you have received something helpful from this webinar, that you recommend us, that you recommend Wilcelium, that you talk about us. You talk about us with your friends or your coworkers or people who you think could really benefit from quality, ethical sex and intimacy education. You know, we're a small company, we're a queer trans-led company, we're just starting out. And so it really actually matters. You talking about us, you sharing our stuff on social media, it's a big deal. It's we take it really seriously, and we're really invested in the relationship with you, that it models what things are that we're teaching. So like consent and listening to feedback and asking your opinion, like these are all relationship tenets that are important to us with you. So that would be great if you'd be willing to do that. And so thank you. And we're going to spend the rest of our time together. We have about 15 minutes, and I want to give you my full attention for your questions around erotic confidence. So just the invitation here is to drop into your body and see what questions are present for you. I would like to ask everyone here to submit a question, and no pressure if you don't have one, but just as a way to participate and engage with community. And I will take the questions as they come. Okay, so how I do this is to read the question without the person's name, and then I'll answer it as best I can. So keep the questions coming, and I'm going to read the first one. I struggle with flirting because I was made to feel incredibly uncomfortable when I was a minor by adults flirting with me. I think the cringe it once gave me still lingers, even when I know it's an appropriate kind of flirting you've described, friendly or even sexual. How do I navigate welcoming flirting in as a practice while healing the discomfort from the past? So thank you for this question, and I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry that that those adults didn't have better boundaries. And it's, you know, it's totally my belief that adults are the ones who model healthy sexual and relationship behavior for our young people. And that didn't happen for you. And that sucks. And it's not okay. And I'm really sorry about it. And I hear that the impact of that, which is yucky and heavy and lingering, is really getting in your way. And so here's the thing that I think about is that, because it sounds like shame, and it sounds like shame that was put on you, right? Like, so their inappropriate behavior made you feel yucky, right? And is there a way to, as part of the healing part, to send that shame back to where it came from, or to do something else with it? Just be like, you know what? Like, that is not mine. I am an ethical human. I am completely committed to my integrity, and I will not flirt in ways that are inappropriate. And to really anchor that commitment with yourself, and to have maybe some sort of check-in process. I mean, you probably already have that inside of like, oh, this feels okay, or this doesn't feel okay. But I think that there's something about articulating the commitment that can be really helpful. And I think the other piece is, have you gotten mad about it? You know, because like basically something was taken from you that was yours, right? I mean, if you've ever been around a baby, they can be super flirty, right? They're like, go in, and giggling and making a lot of eye contact, and like it's normal, it's natural, right? And I envision a world where young people can really do that, and not face um, inappropriate consequences, right? And so I just wonder about getting mad, and and if that, whatever that anger has to look like, if it's writing letters or yelling or making a recording and putting it on your social media, or any other way to kind of process, like invite in that rage, because like basically what you're talking about is powerlessness, and anger can be really helpful in restoring boundaries, right? So that would be my advice there. Thank you for that tender question. Okay, next question. What are some tools for being with your shame when it arises? Perfect. So, um, shame typically has a somatic signature, a way that you feel it, a way that you know it. Like some people describe it as like crumpling inside or spiraling down or smoke-filled air, or feeling weird feelings at their skin, like any of that, right? So I think the first step is to recognize it and to name it. Of like, oh, here's shame. Okay, right. And then ways to be with it. I've already named one, which is like, okay, whose shame is this actually, right? And return to sender, right? Not mine. There's different ways. I would say that one is a super gentle approach of being really tender with yourself, like, oh, sweetheart, like that sucks. I'm so sorry. You know, like that wasn't okay. And just really inviting in your adult self to console whatever younger part might be experiencing that. And another part is to fight back, like to really fight for yourself. Like, no, fuck that. Like, no, I'm not going to be ashamed of that. And folks with any kind of internalized patriarchy, internalized misogyny, internalized homophobia, internalized transphobia, internalized racism, any of that stuff, like that, I think is a really worthwhile discernment, to discern where it came from, and then to discern how am I, is today a tender day, or is today a like get the fuck away from me shame? It's, and for me it's both. So I hope that that's helpful. Next question. How do I invite playfulness into my erotic lives? I tend to be so serious. Yeah, well, this is a lovely question. I wonder about saying that playfulness. I'm inviting you into my life, and having that be part of your practice. Um, when you wake up in the morning, playfulness, come on in. Take a clowning class, take a improv class, like that seriousness. It's like, can the seriousness, that like solemn, there's a reverence to it, right? And that's beautiful. And also like how to not have that reverence get heavy, right? And so I had to, as an adult, I had to relearn how to play. And I think in erotic play is, I mean, kink is great for this. Dressing up and wearing costumes, and just like, I know for me there was like a like almost like a rigidity to getting out of the seriousness. Like the seriousness was very like solemn, and I felt if I would be silly with it, uh, I felt vulnerable. It felt like awkward, and so I kind of forced myself on that one of just like, all right, we're gonna be ridiculous. I'm going to find spaces where I can be playful and ridiculous, and because I'm not down with just being so serious all the time. It's no fun, right? Um, so I hope that's helpful. How to get a reticent partner to open up more in a sexual space? This is a lovely question as well. And I wonder about, and it just depends on the partner, but is there something that they're needing to feel safer? right? And I would, if the someone is already reticent, they're sharing a lot of information with you, right? That they feel either awkward or shy or shame or reserved or unsafe. And that might, none of that might have to do with you. But I think that the place to start there would be, hey, can we have a conversation about what both of us need to feel safe in our sexual connection? If you're in relationship with this person for a long time, that question might feel like it comes out of thin air, right? And when I work with couples who have been together, like we always start with safety, and they're like, "What are you talking about? We've been together for 10 years. We're safe." I'm like, what your bodies are saying is you're not safe, right? Your head might be being like, "Oh, whatever, I'm safe with this person." So depending on how long you've been together, the conversation about safety um, can be broached. You can make it about you. Like, hey, I'd like to talk about safety because I'm getting more in touch with parts of myself and finding that I had needs that I didn't know I had, right? Because like you can give your partners permission through yourself. I missed the example you gave of not in-person flirting, a question about feeling springtime. Can I please repeat or offer more examples? Yeah, I mean, I think that what I was talking about, I don't quite exactly remember, but I think what I was talking about was the that there's like flirting with innuendo, right? And there's like flirting in a way that is like more playful, more lighthearted, more airy. I mean, the images that are coming to me are more like babbling brooks and trees budding out, and kind of those images. And so if you want to engage in that kind of flirting, I think what I said was like, oh, how's the air feeling on your skin today? Rather than like, what are you wearing right now? Right. So it might be some other examples. What delighted you today? Um, did did you feel any springtime feelings today? Uh, Ew, I'm feeling the kiss of the sun, like a little bit more poetic, right? Like I'm feeling the kiss of the sun on my cheeks. What are you feeling on your cheeks? I mean, just like silly, romantic gobbledygook. I think can be really lovely, and it doesn't put the same pressure if somebody's not feeling it, right? And they then can how they respond just is indicative of where they are, and then you can get some subtle cues to that. Okay, another question about the line, the lighthearted flirting, also feeling nervous about unwanted attention or crossing lines. I think of flirting as sexual, but the way you talk about it, it sounds different. Yeah, you can say a bit more for sure. I think there's different types of flirting, right? For example, when I flirt with my partner, who I've been with for a zillion years, that flirting can for me is often much more heavily laced with sexual innuendo, right? Like I'm much more likely to say something about Ari's butt that I'm never going to say to a stranger because we haven't established that level of consent or intimacy, and it feels inappropriate to me, right? And so that line of like, where is it where is it enough, right? So the person's like, oh, they're flirting with me, and where is it um, too much? Like, oh, they just slime flirted me, um, right? And how to gauge what that is, and so that's why I'm really offering a um, I think if you go in through the door, you can increase the volume of the flirting. If you go in through that like really subtle, really lighthearted um, door, and then if they respond, right? If they're like, "Oh, I'm feeling the kiss of the tulip buds across my lips," then you'd be like, oh, "Okay, cool. I know I can go a little bit. I can go a little bit further here." And if they're like, yeah, I didn't really feel it. I was just really busy at work today. You're like, oh, cool, you know, and I think that line that you're talking about, of like, I don't want to invade anyone's boundaries. I don't want to. Well, good. Yes, this is good for you. Um, you can always ask someone. You could be like, oh, I just noticed I'm feeling a little flirty today. Would you enjoy receiving that? You know, again, you don't have to know. You don't have to mind read what they're available for or not. Um, and then and if they were like, yeah, flirty, and then you could be like, sexy or not sexy? Maybe like, not sexy. Be like, cool, all right, and then you have more to work with. So good. All right, we have time for one more question. What if your partner is really uncomfortable, embarrassed by talking about sex? How do I navigate sexual communication with this person? Yeah, I mean, I think tenderly, right? Like we can build capacity, we can build our comfort level with having conversations about sexuality, and it can be slow and gentle, you know, of like where, hey sweetheart, I just noticed that we're not talking about sex, and I'd like to, but I noticed that I'm guessing that you feel a little uncomfortable sometimes, and I want to just talk about it in a way that feels okay to you. Like, how could we have a conversation? Like, what would you need to have a conversation so that we could, you know, because I don't want to push through your boundaries. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. Like, what's your tolerance level? You know, it's like, and build capacity, build trust as you go with your partner, and inviting them to reflect on that process of like, it's unfortunately quite common for folks to really struggle with feeling comfortable talking about sex, right? So that process of moving through shame is just that. It takes a while, right? It's not just like a one and done thing. Like, oh, I'm now going to deal with my sexual shame. No, you're going to have many conversations and um, explore, you know, kind of where is the that window of tolerance where I'm pushing my edges, I'm pushing my growth edge, but I haven't crossed over and blew my brain out, so I never want to talk about this again, right? And so navigating that with them, and I think just like being super um, honest and having some reflection on it could be really helpful. So that's what I'm going to say about that. And I see that there's more questions, and apologizing that I'm not going to be able to get to those today. And just really wanting to thank you for being someone in the world who's interested in feeling erotically confident. You can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. It's going to take a minute. It's going to take some effort, but we get to have this, and it is an active revolution um, for people of all diversities to really step into their sexual sovereignty and power. So I'm happy to be a support person for you for that, and hope to see you next month at our webinar. And I'm Dr. Pavini Moray for Wasilium, and I wish you breath and pleasure and so much confidence. All right, thanks everybody.